large T. Debits and credits don't come into play right now. What comes into play is left side, right side. I don't think I need to label those because we all know the difference between left side and our right side. Our assets is going to be our first heading. Okay? And under our assets, we're going to label them and list them in order of liquidity. Am I correct?
Yes.
So we're going to start with cash, which is a little T, and then AR, thank you, which are what? Customers or vendors?
Customers.
Exactly. And then we'll scroll down and we'll make another account on here. Supplies, very good. And I said yesterday that these little T's have left sides and right sides, but they're always labeled. Left side is debit, right side is credit. Thank you very much. So we'll do debit, credit, debit, credit. Okay, then I also said what side goes up, what side goes down, and which is the normal balance side. Right? Okay, so I'm going to say that all assets have a normal balance side of debit. That's an N, by the way. Which means, when I say normal balance, at the end of the year, at the end of the day, at the end of the month, at the end of the fiscal period, at the end of the accounting cycle, whatever end we come to, we want to see a balance of cash that's on the debit side. If it's not, that means we have no money in the account and we are negative. Whoever wants to be negative in their checking account. We also want to see a normal balance side on the customer's account, either zero or something, but we don't want to see credit. Same way with supplies. Every single asset we want to end up with a debit balance. At the end of whatever we're doing, debit balance. Which means that if we were looking at putting cash in the account, the debit side increases cash, the credit side decreases. Okay? Debit side increases, credit side decreases, debit side increases, credit side decreases on assets. So if I say put $500 in the cash account, you need to put $500 on the debit side. If I tell you to take $500 out of cash, you need to take that off of the credit side. Understand the difference between what increases the account and what decreases the account. Okay? Now, those rules apply for assets. Okay? Let's go ahead and go to our liabilities. Okay, liabilities. Eddie, what are our liabilities that we have? Okay? Again, the little t's still have left sides and right sides. Even though I crossed over to the right side of the great big T, still the labels are still the same for debits and credits. This is still a debit side, that's a credit side, debit side, credit side. Remember, I'm going to say it again, the gigantic T does not have a debit credit. It has a left side, right side. The little t's have left sides, right sides, but that's where we independently label them with debits and credits. I'm going to give you a hint. You can write it down on your cheat sheet. Liabilities are opposite of assets. Okay, they still have debits and credits on the same side, but their normal balance side has now changed. A normal balance side for a liability is the credit side, and just like the other way, if it's the normal balance side, it's the increase side. So if I want to increase my liabilities, I credit them. And if I want to decrease them, I debit them. Increase on the credit side, decrease on the debit side. I used to use pluses and minuses. You plus, you give to, you minus, you take away. Well, that became confusing, so I started going to the arrows. I believe this is one time that I did follow the book. The book does the arrows. Mary Brown always used the pluses and minuses. I said, that's kind of confusing the kids. She said, I like your arrows better. So I think if we're going to increase, I'm looking at an arrow. I'm a visual person. So if you memorize assets, You do the exact opposite for liabilities. Now you got two parts of the test right. Okay? We got one more part, owner's equity. How many children does owner's equity have? Four. Revenue. Capital. Expenses. Now, revenue, capital, expenses, and drawing. I think yesterday I drew a little squiggly line to separate these, but you can see that these are liabilities, these are owner's equity. The reason I write it crossways like this, revenue match up to capital expense match up to drawing, is because I have a reason for the madness. Okay, just because owner's equity falls on the right side of the gigantic T, it does not have the similar properties that the liabilities have. Some of the properties are similar, some of them are different. However, the one thing that is a constant on the little t's is the debits and credits for each little t. Okay? Now, I'm going to tell you, and we'll do one at a time. The normal balance side for revenue is the same as it is for capital. That's why I put them together. The normal balance side for revenue is credit, same way with capital. Capital starts with a C, so its normal balance side is on the C side. If you know that and you memorize that revenue is like capital, money, the owner likes the money, there you go. Remember, owner is the capital. So the capital is the C, the owner likes the money, so revenue is money, so it obviously is the same thing. Revenue increases on the credit side, decreases on the debit side. Capital increases on the credit side, decreases on the debit side. Notice the pattern that the up arrows are always on the normal balance side. Don't tell me that the normal balance is on the debit side, but put the increase on the credit. The ends follow the up arrows. Well, if you memorize these two children, these two are exactly opposite of these two. So we still have our debits and credits. And we have our normal balance side. Normal balance side for expenses is a debit. Drawing is a debit. You'll hear me say this. Expenses are always debited. That's the truth. They are. So, our arrows are going to be following. Again, up arrow on the inside, down arrow on the non-inside, up arrow on the inside, the N, not the inside, but the N, letter N, side of the T. That is your cheat sheet. You have to memorize this cheat sheet. If you need to color code it, redraw it, I'm going to leave it up here for a little bit. I have markers in the back. You do whatever it makes. You make your cheat sheet. You put your name on it. You organize it. You put notes on it. We could even do little mnemonics. You can even put your little mnemonic. Capital is the C side. The owner likes the money. Cash is debited. You just gotta have to memorize these. And that's all I can say. Memorize this column, do the opposite of this column, memorize this line, do the opposite to this line. I'm gonna tell you we are gonna have a cheat sheet test. Friday will be our 100-point cheat sheet test. I will ask you to redo this. I don't necessarily, I want the ends and I want the arrows. You don't have to color code it on the cheat sheet, but you're going to have to memorize, and it's easy. If you got the inside correct, then your arrow goes up. If you don't want to be confused and put the down arrow, I'll let you slide on that. Okay? So at this point in time, I'm going to leave this up. I'm going to open my back up for supplies, and